The screen door slammed like a gunshot in the still July air of Willow Creek, Nebraska, shattering the fragile quiet I'd built around my secrets. I froze, my hand midway to the light switch in the dim kitchen, heart pounding as if I'd been caught robbing a bank instead of just stealing a moment of peace. There stood Oliver, my sister's boy, my nephew, 18 and wide-eyed, backpack slung over one shoulder, the summer sun haloing his messy brown hair like some prodigal son returned from the wars. But this war was mine, and he just walked right into the front lines. "Uncle Logan?" His voice cracked, not from adolescence anymore, but from the shock of what he'd interrupted. Me, slumped at the oak table that had seen 3 generations of our family's Sunday suppers. A half-empty bottle of Jack Daniels in one hand and a crumpled letter from my ex-lover in the other. The words on that paper burned hotter than the whiskey. Betrayal scrawled in black ink. Promises shattered like the cheap motel glass I'd smashed last week in Omaha. Oliver dropped his bag with a thud that echoed my own unraveling. His green eyes, mirror images of his mother's, darting from the letter to my face, piecing together the wreckage before I could utter a single lie to cover it. I wanted to bolt, to grab my keys and drive the back roads until the dust of Willow Creek choked my rear view. But his gaze pinned me there, raw and unrelenting, like the Midwest wind stripping fields bare. "What the hell happened?" he asked, not accusatory, but laced with that fierce protectiveness I'd only glimpsed in family photos from his high school football days. In that instant, as cicadas hummed their indifferent symphony outside, I knew the dam I'd built around my truth was cracking. Not with a flood, but with the quiet insistence of a boy who'd crossed state lines to find his uncle, only to stumble into the ghost I'd been pretending not to be. Oliver didn't wait for an answer. He crossed the linoleum floor in 3 strides. The same scuffed boots I'd bought him for his 16th birthday still laced tight, and pulled out the chair opposite mine with a scrape that set my teeth on edge. He was taller now, broader in the shoulders from whatever adventures he'd chased after graduation. Road trips to Denver, maybe, or those late-night confessions over text about boys who broke his heart in ways I recognized but never voiced. "Talk to me," he said, his voice steadying, the way it did when he'd coach his little league team back in elementary school. All earnest fire. I stared at the letter, the one from Marcus, my partner of 7 hidden years, declaring he was done with the shadows, done with me for not fighting harder to step into the light. The words blurred under the sting in my eyes. "You're a coward, Logan, and I'm tired of loving one." I folded it slowly, the paper whispering accusations, and shoved it into my pocket like burying a body. "It's nothing, kid. Just old business." But Oliver wasn't buying it. He never had, not since he was 10 and caught me wiping away tears after another fight with my sister, Ellen, over Dad's will. He leaned forward, elbows on the table, his flannel shirt rolled to the cuffs revealing a fresh tattoo. A compass rose, inked in bold lines that screamed, "Find your north." "Bullshit," he replied, the word landing soft but firm. An Americanism we'd both honed in this heartland where plain talk was the only currency that mattered. "I drove 6 hours because Mom said you sounded wrecked on the phone. And now this? You're not fooling anyone, least of all me." The kitchen clock ticked like a heartbeat, each second pulling me deeper into the undertow. Willow Creek wasn't the kind of place that forgave deviations. It was cornfields and church steeples, Friday night lights and potlucks where the pastor quoted Leviticus like it was the weather report. I'd buried my queerness here young, after Dad's stroke left him preaching fire and brimstone from his recliner, and Mom's quiet nods sealing the deal. Ellen, my only sibling, had married young to a man who embodied the town's ideals. Steady job at the co-op, 2 kids, a flag in the yard. I'd played the part. Bachelor uncle, handyman for hire, the guy who fixed fences and fetched groceries, always with a smile that hid the ache. But Oliver? He'd bloomed different, out and proud by 16, waving the rainbow flag at Lincoln's Pride parades while Ellen wrung her hands and prayed for guidance. He'd texted me fragments of his coming-out story last fall. It hurt, but it freed me, Uncle Log, and I'd replied with thumbs-up emojis, my thumbs trembling over the screen. Now here he was, forcing the mirror I'd avoided for decades. "Marcus left," I finally muttered, the name tasting like ash. "Said I was too scared to live for real. And he's right." Oliver's face softened, not with pity, but with the kind of recognition that binds blood deeper than secrets. He reached across, his hand covering mine. Calloused from summer jobs, warm against my chill, and squeezed. Then let's fix that. Starting tonight. Outside, thunder rumbled distant. A promise of rain on parched earth. And for the first time in years, I didn't pull away. We talked until the bottle emptied and the stars wheeled overhead. The kitchen filling with the scent of microwave popcorn. Oliver insisted on making comfort food, Nebraska style. He spilled first, easy as breathing. The boyfriend in college who'd ghosted him after one too many questions about fitting in. The relief of dorm life away from Ellen's worried glances. I listened, nodding, the weight lifting inch by inch as his words painted a world beyond Willow Creek's borders. Cafes in Chicago where men held hands without whispers. Beaches in California where love wasn't a sin but a season. Then it was my turn, halting at first, the story tumbling out like a dam breach. The crushes in high school gym class, the enlistment in the army to man up, the discharge honorable but hollow, landing me back here with tools and regrets. By midnight, the rain had come, pattering the tin roof like applause, and Oliver was yawning, but his eyes gleamed with purpose. "You're not alone anymore," he said, standing to claim the guest room down the hall, the one with the quilt Mom stitched before the cancer took her. "Tomorrow we figure out the next step. No more hiding." I watched him go, his silhouette fading into the shadows, and for a heartbeat, I believed him. But as I cleared the table, the letter crinkling in my pocket, doubt crept back like fog off the Platte River. Marcus's words echoed, coward. And Willow Creek didn't change for one broken man, nephew or no. Morning broke gray and sodden, the fields glistening under a sky that mirrored my mood. Oliver was up before me, brewing coffee strong as axle grease in the percolator, humming some indie tune I'd never heard but that sounded like freedom. "Rise and shine, Uncle Log," he called, sliding a mug my way, steam curling like question marks. We ate eggs scrambled with last night's leftover ham, the radio droning farm reports. Corn yields up, but drought looming, and for a moment it felt normal, like the summers when he'd visit and we'd fish the creek, casting lines and stories into the lazy current. But normal cracked when Ellen called, her voice tinny through the landline. "Oliver there yet? Tell him his father's blood pressure's acting up. Needs to come home soon." I glanced at my nephew, buttering toast with feigned nonchalance, and felt the old guilt twist. Ellen didn't know about Marcus, didn't know the half of it. To her, I was the reliable brother, the one who wired her checks without questions. "He's fine," I told her. "Just helping out around here." A pause, heavy as the humidity. "You sound off, Logan. Everything all right?" I lied smoothly, muscle memory, and hung up before her intuition sharpened. Oliver caught the tail end, eyebrow arched. "Mom's radar." I nodded, and he laughed, a sound like cracking ice on a pond. "She's always known more than she lets on. Remember when she found my stash of magazines? The good ones? And just handed them back with a "be safe"? We shared a grin, the first real one in days, and he launched into plans. A drive to Omaha that afternoon, hit the farmer's market, maybe catch a matinee at that indie theater downtown. "Baby steps," he said. "Get you out of this cocoon." The drive was 60 miles of straight blacktop, golden with new corn, radio flipping between country ballads and NPR segments on queer rights marches in D.C. Oliver drove my old Ford pickup, stick shift grinding under his confident hands, windows down to let the wind whip our hair. We talked baseball, Yankees versus Cubs, eternal debate, and he confessed his dream of studying graphic design in New York, far from the flatlands. "You should come visit," he said. "See the city lights. They're brighter than stars." Omaha buzzed with Saturday energy, sidewalks thick with shoppers haggling over heirloom tomatoes and handmade soaps. Oliver dragged me to a stall selling leather journals, flipping through pages blank as possibility. "Write your story," he urged, pressing one into my palm. I bought it, the leather warm as skin, and we wandered to the old market, cobblestones echoing underfoot. At a cafe with rainbow flags fluttering like welcoming arms, we grabbed iced coffees and sat under striped awnings, watching the world flow by, couples of all kinds, laughing, linked. That's when I saw him. Across the street, at a bookstore window, browsing titles on civil rights. Tall, dark-haired, with a jawline sharp as a plow blade and glasses perched on a nose that spoke of city polish amid farm grit. He turned, our eyes locking through the crowd, and something electric hummed, like the first spark of a welder's torch. Oliver noticed, nudging me with a sly smile. "Who's that?" I shrugged, heat rising, but he was already waving the man over. "Name's Elias," he introduced himself, voice low and warm, like aged bourbon. "A journalist from Lincoln, in town for a story on rural LGBTQ+ initiatives." We talked, easy, unforced, about the market's vibe, the latest Supreme Court rulings, the way small towns were thawing one conversation at a time. Oliver played wingman, excusing himself for bathroom break that stretched suspiciously long, leaving Elias and me trading numbers over cooling drinks. "Call me," he said, his hand brushing mine. A touch that lingered, promising more than words. Back home, as dusk painted the sky violet, Oliver crowed victory from shotgun. "See? The world's not ending." I clutched the journal, Elias's number scrawled inside, and felt the first flutter of hope, fragile as a fledgling's wing. But that night, alone in my bed with the rain drumming again, Marcus's letter resurfaced from the nightstand drawer. Fight for it or lose it all. Sleep came fitful, dreams tangled with faces. Dad's stern, Ellen's worried, Oliver's bright, and a new one, Elias's smile, cutting through the dark. Weeks blurred into a rhythm I'd forgotten existed. Mornings mending fences for neighbors, the hammer's ring a meditation. Afternoons with Oliver, plotting escapes from Willow Creek's gravitational pull. He stayed on, postponing college orientation with a phone call to Ellen that skirted truths but landed soft. "Uncle Log needs me," he said, and she relented, her voice laced with unspoken fears. We rebuilt the sagging porch together, sawing boards under the relentless sun, sweat mixing with laughter as he recounted disastrous dates. The guy who quoted Bible verses mid-kiss, and I shared slivers of my past, the army barracks where whispers cost ranks, the bar in Lincoln where I'd first kissed a man and run scared. Elias texted the next day, "Coffee in Omaha? No pressure." I stared at the screen during lunch, sandwich uneaten, until Oliver snatched my phone. "Reply, coward." His tease stung true, but I did Saturday, and the meetup bloomed into something tentative, beautiful. We met at that same cafe, the air thick with the scent of fresh scones and possibility. Elias was all questions, gentle probes into my guarded heart. The farm boy dreams deferred, the family legacy of silence. "You're braver than you think," he said over lattes, his knee brushing mine under the table. A contact that sent sparks up my spine without demand. Oliver approved, dubbing Elias the upgrade from Whiskey Nights. We triple-dated once. Awkward hilarity at a county fair, cotton candy sticking to fingers, Ferris wheel confessions under strung lights. Elias fit, his stories of covering protests in San Francisco weaving with our Nebraska roots like threads in a quilt. But shadows lingered. Ellen's calls grew frequent, laced with urgency. "Dad's asking for you, Logan." And Oliver, "School starts soon." Guilt gnawed, a familiar companion, but Oliver waved it off. "One more week. We need this." That week crested in betrayal's sharp edge. I'd invited Elias for dinner, homemade chili, cornbread from Mom's recipe. A step toward normalcy in my kitchen of ghosts. Oliver prepped the table, whistling, while I stirred the pot, nerves humming like power lines in a storm. Elias arrived with a bottle of red and a shy grin, filling the space with easy talk of books and baseball. We ate on the porch as fireflies danced, the conversation flowing deeper. His coming out at 22, disowned briefly by a Bible Belt family. My whispers in the dark, Marcus's departure a fresh scar. Then the truck rumbled up the drive. Ellen, unannounced, her station wagon kicking gravel like accusations. She burst through the gate, face pale under the porch light, eyes widening at the scene. 3 men, wine glasses in hand, laughter dying on lips. Logan? What's... Her gaze landed on Elias, the intimacy of our circle, and fractured. Oliver stood first, arms open. Mom, it's okay. This is Elias. Uncle Log's friend. The word hung, fragile as glass. Ellen's mouth worked. No sound emerging. Her world, our shared fiction, shattering in the humid night. Friend? She echoed, voice thin, stepping back as if scorched. Elias rose, polite, offering a hand she ignored. Ellen, pleasure. Logan's told me so much, but her eyes were on me, pleading, betrayed. Not by the love, but by the lies unraveling. You never said, she whispered, tears welling. All these years, the checks, the visits. I thought you were alone because of the war, not this. I stood, heart hammering, the chilly turning lead in my gut. Ellen, but words failed, the canyon between us yawning wide. Oliver bridged it, pulling her into a hug. Mom loves love. Uncle Log's happy. Isn't that enough? She clung to him, sobbing softly, the fireflies indifferent witnesses. Elias slipped away quietly. Call me tomorrow, leaving me to the wreckage. Ellen stayed the night, the guest room Oliver vacated for the couch. We talked till dawn in the kitchen, coffee cold, her pain a mirror to mine. I knew something was off, she admitted, twisting her wedding ring. After Dad died, you shut down. I pushed you away, didn't I? With my perfect life. I shook my head, throat tight. You didn't know. I hid it. For you, for Dad, for Willow Creek. She reached for my hand, her grip fierce. But hiding hurts everyone. Oliver. He's so open. It scares me, but it's him. We cried then, siblings again. The betrayal not in my truth, but in the years stolen by fear. Morning brought fragile peace. Ellen hugged Elias goodbye at breakfast, her smile tentative but real. Take care of him, she murmured, and he nodded solemn. Oliver drove her home, promising weekly calls, leaving me and Elias alone in the quiet house. We walked the back 40, Corn whispering secrets, his hand finding mine. That was brave, he said. I squeezed back. Or stupid. He laughed, pulling me close. Not for heat, but for anchor. Brave. Always. But courage's cost came swift. Town whispers started Monday at the co-op. Logan's got a fancy boy from the city. Old man Hargrove crossed the street, his nod replaced by a scowl. Work dried up. Fences stayed broken, calls unanswered. Elias noticed, over dinners that stretched into starlit talks. Fight it, he urged. Or run with me to Lincoln. Temptation pulled, but roots ran deep, this land, this blood. Oliver returned Friday, face stormy. Mom told Dad. He wants nothing to do with us now. The words landed like hail. My brother-in-law, Tom, Steady Tom, had barred the door, called Oliver's orientation, confusion. My life a phase gone wrong. Betrayal doubled, from family I'd shielded. Oliver paced, fists clenched. We leave. Now. But I couldn't, not yet. Give it time, I pleaded, though doubt eroded me. That night, Elias and I sat on the porch swing, creaking under our weight, his head on my shoulder. I love you, he whispered, the words a bomb and a blade. I echoed them, tasting truth, but sleep evaded, dreams of exile chasing me through shadowed fields. The conflict swelled like the river after spring thaw. Church flyers appeared in my mailbox, repent and return. Pastor's penmanship pious and pointed. Neighbors who'd shared beers now averted eyes, their silence louder than sermons. Oliver rallied, organizing a backyard barbecue, reclaim the narrative, inviting allies. The librarian who'd stocked Queer Lit on back shelves, the vet from Omaha with his husband in tow. Laughter rang tentative, burgers sizzling, but undercurrent hummed. This too shall pass or break us. Elias stayed, his presence a shield, but tension brewed between us. You're stalling, he accused one evening, after a call from his editor pulled him to D.C. for a week. Willow Creek's killing you slow. I bristled, the accusation echoing Marcus's ghost. This is home. He softened, kissing my forehead. Home's where love lives. Remember that. He left at dawn, tail lights fading east, and the house echoed empty. Oliver and I filled it with projects. Painting the barn crimson, a color bold as confession. He sketched logos for his portfolio, compasses pointing true, and I filled journal pages, words spilling like rain. Regrets, revelations, the ache of almost free. Ellen called midweek, voice steadier. Tom's coming around. Slowly. Come for dinner Sunday. Hope flickered, but Oliver declined. Not till he apologizes. Pride, our shared armor, chafed now. Sunday arrived sweltering. The drive to their split level in Lincoln, a gauntlet of memories. Thanksgivings past, where I'd carve turkey and swallow silences. Tom greeted us gruff, handshake firm but eyes averted. Dinner was strained. Mashed potatoes passed like peace offerings, conversation skating politics and weather. Then, over pie, he cleared his throat. Logan. Ellen talked sense into me. Your family. Always. The words hung incomplete, but Oliver nodded, truce declared. Relief washed, but climax loomed unseen. That night, back home, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Saw your boyfriend in town. Careful sinner. Attached. A photo of Elias and me at the fair. Blurry but damning, time-stamped weeks ago. Panic surged. Who'd snapped it? Hargrove? The pastor? Willow Creek's underbelly, exposed. I showed Oliver, his face hardening. We confront it. Together. But fear rooted me. One wrong step, and exile beckoned. Not just from town, but from the man I'd become. The anonymous text festered like an untreated wound, poisoning sleep and sharpening edges. Oliver wanted action. Print flyers, call a town hall. But I demurred, hammering nails into the barn with renewed fury. Each strike a deflection. They're cowards hiding behind screens. He argued over breakfast, cereal soggy from neglect. Hit back with truth. His fire inspired, but my bones ached with caution. 45 years of survival etched deep. Elias called from D.C., voice crackling with static and concern. Come here. The story's blowing up, queer farmers fighting back. You'd fit right in. Temptation tugged, but I begged time, promising visits soon. Ellen mediated, her texts a lifeline. Tom's talking to the pastor. Give it a beat. But beats turned to days and whispers amplified. Tires slashed on my truck one dawn. Effigy keyed shallow but stinging in the door panel. Oliver fumed, spray painting over it with truck bed gray. But the damage seeped inward. We drove to Omaha for supplies, the highway a vein pulsing escape, and there, at a hardware store, confrontation brewed. Hargrove loomed in the aisle, paint cans between us like barriers. His face, lined from decades tilling soil, twisted in disapproval. Heard you're entertaining. He spat, grip tight on a brush. Oliver stepped forward, chest out. Entertaining? That's rich from a man who cheats at poker. Hargrove flushed, but his eyes bored into me. Ruining good folk, Logan. Bible's clear. The words landed like fists, echoing Dad's deathbed rants, and I snapped. Not with rage, but quiet steel. Bible's got room for love too, Earl. Read wider. He stalked off, muttering, but the exchange rippled, tails twisting back to Willow Creek by nightfall. Elias returned Thursday, suit rumpled from flights, arms laden with takeout from a DC deli. Exotic falafel that clashed hilariously with our cornbread palate. We ate on the kitchen floor, cross-legged like kids, his stories of marches and mayors a window to worlds unbound. Oliver regaled him with the truck vandalism, earning a fierce hug. You're warriors, Elias declared, and in his eyes, I saw reflection. Not coward, but contender. That night, as Oliver crashed early, Elias and I walked the dew-kissed fields, stars a canopy overhead. I meant it, he said, stopping to face me, hands framing my cheeks. Love you, Logan Hale, shadows and all. The kiss was soft, affirming, a vow under Nebraska's vast sky. But dawn brought the storm's full fury. The pastor, Reverend Klein, silver-haired sentinel of St. Mary's, called a community prayer vigil at the town square, flyers nailed to every post. Healing for the wayward soul. My name unspoken, but implied, the crosshairs clear. Oliver found one fluttering in the drive, crumpling it with a curse. This ends now. He rallied allies, the librarian, Ms. Harrow, with her network of progressives, the young barista from the diner's coffee clatch, openly bi and unbowed. We planned a counter. Not protest, but presence. A picnic in the square, blankets and baskets. Love lived loud. Words spread subterranean, tensions coiling like barbed wire. Tom called, apologetic. Klein's stirring shit. Stay home, log. But staying meant surrender. Ellen arrived eve of, baking pies with trembling hands. For the picnic, she said, avoiding my eyes. Oliver hugged her fierce. Proud of you, Mom. Her nod was watery, but resolute. Vigil night hummed electric, square filling with folding chairs and hymnals. Klein's voice booming scripture over a makeshift podium. We arrived late, baskets swinging, Elias's hand in mine a quiet declaration. Heads turned, murmurs rising like steam from cooling asphalt. Oliver spread a quilt near the gazebo, unpacking ham sandwiches and lemonade, Miss Harrow joining with her guitar. Sing something secular, he quipped, and she strummed, This land is your land. Voices joining tentative, then strong. Klein paused mid-verse, eyes narrowing on our circle. Brothers and sisters, he intoned, amplified. We gather to reclaim what's holy from the profane. The word profane arrowed straight, and gasps rippled. I stood, pulse thundering, Elias's grip anchoring. Reverend, I called, voice carrying clear. Holiness ain't owned by hate. This land's for all of us. Farmers, families, folks loving true. Murmurs swelled. A few nods, Hargrove's scowl deepening. Oliver rose beside me, young voice cutting sharp. My uncle taught me courage. Fixing what's broke, standing tall. That's holy. Applause scattered. Then built, Ellen's among them, pie plates clinking. Klein faltered, sermon sputtering to close, the vigil dissolving in uneasy shuffle. Aftermath glowed fragile. Handshakes from fence-sitters, a nod from the sheriff. But betrayal's blade twisted deeper that midnight. Phone rang, Tom. Frantic. Ellen. She's collapsing. Hospital. Now. We raced to Lincoln General, corridors sterile and stark. Her room a hush of beeps and whispers. Stroke, the doctor said. Stress-induced, her blood pressure spiking since the square. Guilt crashed. Title. My truth. The catalyst? She woke groggy, hands seeking mine. Worth it, she murmured, eyes clear. For you. For Oliver. Tom hovered, chastened, squeezing my shoulder. Family first, log. Elias waited outside, his presence unspoken support. Recovery stretched weeks. Ellen in rehab, me shuttling between farms and her bedside. Oliver deferred classes again. His sketches piling, portraits of us, fierce and tender. Elias's job pulled him more, but weekends anchored us, drives to Platte River bluffs where wind whispered forgiveness. One such afternoon, cliffs crumbling to water below, Elias proposed. Not ring, but resolve. Move with me. Lincoln apartment, your handyman gig remote. Build real. Heart soared, but snagged on roots. Oliver? The land. He smiled, patient. He'll visit. This is your bloom. Temptation ward, decision damning. Back home, journal filled with pros and cons. Ink bleeding like tears. Oliver caught me at it, sitting heavy. Go, he said simply. You deserve flight. His blessing cracked the final wall. But climax crested violent. News broke local. Klein, exposed in scandal. Affair with choir girl. Hypocrisy splashed in Lincoln papers. Town reeled. Vigils turning to reckonings. Hargrove confronted me at the co-op, hat in hand. Wrong about you, Logan. Sorry. Apology raw but real. Ellen discharged. Stronger hosted a family barbecue. Tom grilling. Oliver DJing folk tunes. Toasts rang. to healing to heart. Elias arrived last, box in hand, a brass compass, engraved north is love. For your journey, he said, and I knew. Yet betrayal's echo lingered in a final twist. Marcus, unearthing from silence, emailed, heard you're out. Good for you. But Elias? He'll leave too when the novelty fades. Venom veiled as concern, reopening scars. I deleted, blocking but doubt seeded. Fall unfurled in amber waves. Harvest moon fat over silos. Willow Creek exhaling after summer's siege. Ellen's recovery steadied her step, her laugh returning at Sunday dinners where Elias now pulled up a chair, his city anecdotes seasoning Tom's co-op tales. Oliver thrived in deferral, interning at a Lincoln design firm, his compass tattoo a talisman against fresh heartaches. A crush on a barista fizzling soft. Me? I balanced ledgers of change. Half my jobs restored, whispers fading to nods. The journal now a chronicle of emergence. Pages thick with Elias's name inked like prayer. But Marcus's email burrowed, a thorn under skin. I confided in Oliver one crisp evening, raking leaves into bonfire piles, sparks dancing like defiant stars. Old ghosts, I said, poking embers. He nodded, wise beyond years. Exes are vampires. Stake 'em with truth. His advice simple, fortified. I wrote back, not deletion but dispatch. Thanks for the nudge years ago. But my life's mine now. Stay gone. Sending felt surgical excision of poison. Elias sensed the shift, over cider by the fire. You're lighter, he observed, arm around my waist. The gesture public yet private in our backyard sanctum. We talked futures, his book deal on rural queer resilience, my vague sketches of consulting traveling circuits to fix wind turbines in the plains. Lincoln first, he proposed. Trial run. Your truck, my couch. Excitement bubbled, tempered by terror. Leaving the Hale homestead, deeded to me after Dad. Its creaks a lullaby of belonging. Ellen broached it gently, over pie at her kitchen table. Tom pretending absorption in the sports page. House'll wait, she said. You won't. Her eyes, green as Oliver's, held no judgment. Only the fierce love of survivors. Oliver, home for the weekend, chimed in. I'll crash there. Keep the lights on. Design studio in the barn. Laughter eased the ache. Plans crystallizing like frost on windows. Winter crept stealthy. First snow dusting fields white as fresh starts. We packed incrementally. My tools to Elias's garage, journals to boxes labeled chapters. Holiday lights strung early. A ward against encroaching dark. Christmas Eve. Full circle. Ellen hosting. Tree aglow with ornaments from Mom's era. Gifts exchanged. Oliver's sketch of us four, framed in walnut. Elias's leather-bound novel outline, dedicated to the man who tilled my heart. Mine to him. A silver band, plain, promise etched inside, steady as the plains. But romance's bloom invited thorns. Elias's editor demanded revisions, deadlines devouring nights. My last local job soured when a client's wife hissed pervert under breath, though her husband paid full. Strain showed in silences, Elias's fatigue mirroring my doubts. One blizzard-bound night, power flickering, we argued by candlelight. Him pushing permanence, me clinging to Willow Creek's gravity. You're half out still, he accused, voice raw. Afraid I'll bolt like Marcus? The name ignited, old wound gaping. And you? Chasing stories, not settling. Words hurled like snowballs, melting to regret. He stormed to the guest room, door clicking soft but final. I paced the kitchen, coffee cold. Oliver's text from Lincoln. All good. Unanswered. Dawn broke brittle, Elias emerging rumpled. Eyes shadowed. Sorry? We chorused, collapsing into hug. Fractures mending in murmured amends. We're green at this, he said, forehead to mine. Learning curve. I nodded, vowing vulnerability, therapy sessions in Omaha, his hand in mine through waiting rooms. Spring thawed defenses, cherry blossoms rioting pink along Platte banks. Oliver's internship bloomed contract, his pride portfolio showcasing farm motifs laced with rainbow threads. Ellen and Tom visited, awkward at first in our Lincoln loft. High ceilings, city hum alien, but warming over takeout Thai. Proud, Tom grunted, clapping my back, the word heavier than any sermon. Yet conflict reignited in summer's heat, betrayal's sequel scripted by fate. Elias's book tour loomed cross-country, starting California, 3 months of spotlights and strangers. Come for stretches, he begged. Itinerary mapped on our fridge. But Willow Creek called counter. Harvest help for neighbors, Ellen's anniversary party. Go, Oliver urged, packing my bag. Live large. He departed July 4th, fireworks blooming as his plane lifted. Texts flowed initial. Love the panel, miss your laugh, but gaps widened. Time zones devouring replies. Loneliness echoed in the loft. Walls bare without his clutter. Oliver filled voids. Crashing weekends with tales of hookups gone hilariously awry. But his eyes held worry for me. Call him, he'd prompt. And I did, voicemails stacking like unanswered prayers. Then, the call that cracked. August, sweltering. Elias's voice hollow over crackle. Met someone. Tour thing. Nothing but complicates. Heart plummeted. Free fall through trust's floor. Complicates. Echoed Marcus, history rhyming cruel. Be honest. Pause eternal. I love you, but doubt's creeping. Am I enough for this life? Betrayal, not physical but emotional fracture, his fear mirroring mine. I hung up, numb, driving blind to Willow Creek, gravel devouring miles. Oliver met me at the farmhouse, face falling at my wreck. What? Words tumbled, Elias's confession, the chasm. He held me as sobs came, first in years raw as birth. Hearts break to heal, he whispered, echoing advice I'd given him at 16. Days blurred in retreat. Mending fences solo, hammer therapy. Ellen's quiet visits, soup and silences. Tom offered gruff counsel. Men falter, fight or fold. But folding tempted, walls rebuilding swift. Oliver orchestrated intervention, driving to airports, cornering Elias post-reading in Denver. Uncle Log's family, he confronted, voice steady. Hurt him, you hurt us. Elias, haggard, confessed doubts born of his own closets. Past abandonments, fear of small-town stasis. I panicked. He's my north. Oliver relayed, unvarnished, and I listened from the porch, phone warm in palm. Reunion brewed in Omaha neutral ground, coffee shop neutral as Switzerland. Elias arrived disheveled, tour-weary, eyes pleading. Forgive me. We talked hours, peeling layers. His insecurities rooted in a father's rejection, my echoes in dad's legacy. We're flawed, I said, hand over his. But together? He nodded, tears tracking. Always. Climax neared. Not in screams, but quiet forge. Back in Lincoln we rebuilt. Counseling doubled, date nights intentional. Picnics in parks, hands held defiant. Oliver visited, compass sketches now maps of hearts, homes. Ellen's party anchored. Toasts to endurance. Elias's speech humble. Logan's courage schooled me. But summer waned, harvest urgent, and Elias's tour residuals demanded closure. One final leg. Nebraska State Fair. Panel on rural love. We attended tandem, stage lights harsh, questions probing. How do you sustain? Moderator asked. Elias glanced my way. By choosing daily. By grace. Applause thundered. Our hands linked off mic. Vow renewed. Fall returned. Leaves carpeting paths. And with it, decisions bloom. I sold the farmhouse to a young couple. Queer vets. Irony sweet. Proceeds seeding our future. Moving day, Oliver oversaw. Boxing memories with care. New chapter, he said, hugging fierce. Elias and I drove west to Lincoln proper. Loft traded for a bungalow with yard for dreams. The bungalow settled around us like a well-worn glove. Its creaks less accusatory than the farmhouse's ghosts. Walls begging for photos instead of echoes. Fall deepened, pumpkins grinning from stoops, and Elias dove into revisions. Manuscript swelling with our story woven subtle. Anonymous farmers finding voice. I apprenticed at a wind farm outside town. Turbines whirring like whispered approvals. My hands calloused anew but heart unburdened. Oliver commuted from his dorm, now enrolled at UNL. His graphic design classes birthing logos for local nonprofits. Rainbow-infused, bold as his spirit. Romance rekindled deliberate. Friday walks along the Missouri, bluffs echoing laughter. Lazy Sundays with pancakes and podcasts on queer history. Elias's doubts, once fissures, sealed with therapy's mortar, sessions where we unpacked Marcus's shadow, my enlistment scars. "You're my safe harbor," he murmured one night, curled on the couch, fire crackling. I kissed his temple, tasting salt of sweat and certainty. "And you're the wind." Ellen thrived, her stroke a pivot to advocacy. Leading a church book club on inclusive faith, Tom's reluctant support evolving to pride sticker on his truck. Visits warmed. Her lasagna rivaling Mom's, stories of Tom's conversion over beers with Hargrove. Now a tentative ally. "Town's changing," she said, eyes bright. "Because of you." Oliver dated steady. A fellow artist, Jamie, with tattoos mapping constellations and a laugh that filled rooms. Double dates ensued. Hilarity in board games and bad karaoke. Our circle expanding like roots underground. Yet undercurrents stirred. Elias's book release loomed spring. Was building with blurbs from activists. "Pressure's on," he confided, pacing kitchen tiles. "What if it flops? Exposes us wrong?" I pulled him close, steady. "Truth doesn't flop. It lands." Winter gripped fierce. Blizzards blanketing Nebraska white. Confining us to hearth and heart. Power outages forced candles and confessions. Board games turning therapeutic. Monopoly trades mirroring life bargains. Oliver crashed during storms. His presence a bridge to youth's fire. One such night, cards scattered. He asked point blank, "Regrets, Uncle Log? The coming out, the moves?" I pondered, firelight dancing. Only the years lost. Not one since. Spring erupted verdant. Book tour redux but shared. Me tagging weekends, podiums where Elias shone. Q&A is laced with our glances. In Des Moines, a heckler shouted scripture. Elias parried calm. "Love's the greatest verse." Backstage, my hug his anchor. Readings swelled crowds, stories resonating. Farmers nodding, kids wide-eyed. But betrayal's specter resurfaced sly, not in malice but memory. Marcus surfaced at a Lincoln signing, uninvited, face gaunt from city grind. "Heard the news," he said, book clutched awkward. Proud, bitterness veiled, but eyes held ache. Elias tensed beside me, but I waved him off. "Healing, Marcus. You started it." We talked brief, his new life in Chicago, therapy's slow thaw. No venom, just closure, handshake firm. "Take care," I said, meaning it. He nodded, vanishing into crowd, ghost exorcised. Climax brewed not in fury, but forge of choice. Summer solstice, longest day, Elias proposed formal, knee bent on our porch, ring glinting sunset gold. "Marry me, Logan. Make forever official." Heart swelled, but pause came. Willow Creek's pull, Oliver's impending graduation, Ellen's milestone birthday. "Yes," I breathed, pulling him up. But here with them. Wedding plans bloomed, fall harvest theme, barn venue in the old fields, invites to Eli's old and new. Oliver designed invitations, parchment etched with intertwined compasses. Ellen orchestrated catering, Tom's grill master. Hargrove RSVP'd yes, Klein absent, his church folding amid scandals. Rehearsal dinner hummed familial. Toasts to resilience, Jamie's speech roasting Elias's city slicker quirks. Ceremony day dawned crisp, October gold, barns strung with lights like fireflies captured. Guests milled, 50 strong, rainbows subtle in boutonnieres. Oliver best man, ring bearer in jest, his vow. "You taught me north, uncle. Now chase yours." Elias, tux rumpled charming, eyes locked mine. "From shadows to sun, with you." Rings exchanged, simple bands, vows whispered. In plains and storms, I choose you. Kiss sealed. Cheers erupted. Ellen weeping joyful. Tom clapping thunderous. Reception swirled. Fiddle tunes, pies piled high, dances under rafters. Elias and I swayed slow to Johnny Cash, his breath warm. Husband. Word tasted revolution. Honeymoon brief. Platte River cabin, fishing and firesides. Bodies close but souls nearer. Return brought routine elevated. Shared chores, Elias's bestseller status funding travels. Me tagging to coasts, turbines everywhere. Oliver graduated Magna, Jamie ringside, job offer in New York beckoning. Visit often, I charged, hugging airport fierce. Compass points home. Years layered gentle. Elias's second book, on family reinventions. My wind farm crew, mentoring apprentices queer and straight. Ellen's church evolved, inclusive steeple. Tom, soft grandpa to hypothetical futures. Oliver's firm thrived, weddings designed, ours framed office wall. Conflicts embers cooled, but life's tempests tested. Elias's health scare. Gallstones, routine but rattling. Reminded fragility. My knee, army relic, flared winters, his massages mercy. We navigated, stronger, therapy now maintenance. One harvest eve, fields ripe, we drove the old routes, truck humming memory. Worth the wrong moment? Elias asked, hand on thigh. I smiled, nephew's face flashing, that kitchen intrusion, catalyst. Every shatter. Decade dawned unhurried. Nebraska's rhythms are metronome. Winters woolen and warm, summers sweat slick and sweet. The bungalow evolved. Elias's study-lined shelves groaning bestsellers. My workshop humming with half-built birdhouses for grandnieces unborn. Oliver settled New York orbit, but roots tugged annual, Thanksgiving flights. His partners, Jamie's, drawl blending accents. They adopted a rescue pup, photos flooding feeds. City walks, skyline backdrops, captions hails by blood, chosen by heart. Ellen aged graceful, silver threading hair, her advocacy panels drawing crowds. From stroke to strength, title borrowed from our saga. Tom retired co-op, puttering garden. His pride flag weathered but waving. Visits deepened. Her reading Elias's drafts. Tom's grilling marinated in marinades pilfered from my recipes. Full circle, she'd say, squeezing hands. Her stroke scar a badge, not burden. Romance matured vine-like, entwining without choke. Anniversaries marked quiet. Picnics where we met. Journals swapped with entries for the other. Elias's wanderlust tempered. Tours traded for podcasts from home studio. My travels grounded. Consulting gigs folding back to Lincoln. Intimacy shifted soft. Mornings tangled sheets. Evenings porch swings. Conversations constellations mapping souls. Yet humanism's core tested in twilight trials. Elias's diagnosis slipped in subtle, prostate vigilant, early catch but shadow long. Chemo cycles clipped wings, his fire banked but unquenched. I anchored. Broths simmered, appointments driven, nights holding through shivers. Oliver flew mid-treatment, bunking chaotic, his sketches bedside talismans. Fight like Uncle Log. Ellen prayed evolved. Hands clasped mine. Grace enough. Remission rang spring, bells pealing, but lesson lingered. Love's not possession, but presence. My own reckonings rose quieter. Dad's old army buddy, Walt, surfaced nursing home frail. Regrets rasped over phone. Heard 'bout you. Wish I'd spoke up. Knew your secret, kid. Confession cathartic. His passing swift. Funeral where I spoke. Truth freeze. Late but true. Willow Creek attended sparse but sincere. Hargrove eulogizing bridges built. Oliver's life arc triumphant. Firm partner. Jamie's gallery opening queer artists. Their wedding, Central Park, autumn blaze. We stood witnesses, vows echoing ours. Vows ours echoed in toasts. To wrong moments birthing right lives. Betrayal's final echo faded gentle. Marcus, reformed, emailed decade mark. Book changed me. Congrats on yours. No reply needed. Forgiveness flowed one way, river to sea. Climax. Retrofitted. Crested in golden year's gift. Oliver's call. Voice quaver. Pregnant? Adoption match. Surrogacy stars aligned. Baby boy due summer. Elias and I, uncles in waiting, nursery prepped playful, mobile compasses spinning. Birthday dawned, hospital hum holy. Tiny Oliver James Hale Walker, eyes green as legacy, fist clutching Elias's finger. Naming ceremony backyard, kin convened. Ellen cradling, Tom beaming, Jamie's kin broadening circle. Oliver's words, teary. To the man who walked in, thank you. Full circle, nephew to namesake, courage cycled. Years padded plush, granduncle duties, diaper dashes, lullabies low. Elias's memoir trilogy capped, TED Talk viral. My wind legacy. Scholarships for rural youth, queer codicils. Health held, Elias's checkups clean, my knee swapped steel strong. Twilight talks deepened, porch lit lantern soft. Wrong moment, Elias mused, head on shoulder, stars pricking vast. Best intrusion, Oliver visited often, taught tumbling grass, tales of toddler tyranny. Your story schooled us, he'd say, and we'd nod woven. Ending unfolded not crash, but cadence, human arc bending hope. One harvest eve, field symphony wind whispered, we danced slow kitchen, radio crooning cash. Love you, Elias breathed eternal. And I you, echoed, bones old but bend unbroken. Willow Creek, distant now, loomed legend, town thawed, pride flags fluttering annual. We returned sporadic, picnics with ghosts kind. Life's ledger balanced. Conflicts cashed courage, betrayals bartered wisdom, romance refined gold. In quiet, truth hummed. No heroes flawless, but love's luminous. The nephew's step that door long slammed open worlds. Mine, ours, endless. And in that opening, grace enough for all.